Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning. We have a great show lined up, as always, and we'll get started with our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin Road and Highway 77. High today is going to be 88 and low tonight 72. That little cool snap last couple of mornings, I know it felt good to a lot of y'all already thinking about hunting and football, so it's right around the corner. The interesting thing on the weather, though, this morning would be the water temperature. I have it down to 82 degrees. Now, 2 weeks ago, it was at 87 degrees, so that's quite a drop in a short period of time. Usually it's a gradual drop. Okay, take a look at our river reading. Speaking of gradual, the Appalachian cold is slowing down on this drop, but it continues to drop, but it's still at 14.6. And really the next couple of days, it's not going to drop hardly any, but it's going to be around 14, looks like, for the weekend, maybe 13 and a half for the weekend. The Choctawhatchee at Caryville, it's reading 11.3. Again, it has a steady drop, and by the weekend, we're hoping it'll get below 10, maybe by Friday night or something, right around 10, okay? Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery, and their motto is "When Caring Counts." It's right here on 23rd Street here in Panama City. You're looking at today's tides. Today is getting back to some good tides now. Today's Wednesday, August the 26th, the 28th, right there at the bottom. We're looking at a high tide at 2:58 and a low tide at 2:47. Okay, so it's tide is moving good. Our marine forecast coming out east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Every Wednesday morning, we'd like to talk to Captain Blair Morgan, get a report for Blue Water Outriggers, one of our big sponsors down there. Good morning, Blair.
Good morning, Winston. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What's going on down in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'm out here on my front porch feeling this nice, cool breeze coming around here. It's good.
That is nice.
And I tell you something else, looks like the sun's going to come up.
I'm telling you, we're going to have like a couple of days of dry weather. We haven't had that all summer.
I tell you, that's really unusual. I worked all day yesterday just trying to get the yard back in shape and stuff, but no, we've had a lot of rain, and we got so much fresh water over here. Looks like the fish have kind of just moved out of I know the tarpon and the triple tail, they say they just gone over here from Indian Pass, and I don't know where they went, but there's just so much fresh water. And there's very little fishing going on right now. I think everybody's getting into the hunting mode, and it's that time of year football starts and whatnot. Yeah. But I had a couple gator tags, and I had fun last week. It opened a week ago, a week ago Thursday, I guess.
Yeah, how'd you do?
I think it was. And I had fun. I ended up tagging 2 gators. I got one a little over 10 foot. That's a lot of fun.
That's a big gator.
Yeah. I had my eyes on like a 13-footer or so, and that was a little too smart for me. I never could get him.
Well, that's why he's 13 foot. He outsmarted a lot of them.
Yeah, I know. It's like a big buck. You can see them, but they hard to come by. Anyway, that's a lot of fun. And that was I had the first hunt in Franklin County, and then the second hunt opens, I think, again this tomorrow, actually, in Franklin County. So, but I'm done with my tags. So, but anyway, that's going on. So there's things to do around here all the time.
That's true. There is. So I probably have fresh water run all the pompano and triple tail away, huh?
Yeah, tarpon and triple tail, they just gone from over here. I don't know. I heard reports that they kind of moved over towards Mexico Beach way, but I can't confirm that.
Well, if the weather's going to be good this weekend, there'll be a lot of folks getting back out looking for them, I imagine.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful weekend for Labor Day, and there'll be a lot of people down here, and it's going to be pretty this weekend. They said no rain through the weekend. So.
All right, sounds good. All right, Blair. Thank you so much for that report.
Okay.
We'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right, Captain Blair Morgan with Blue Water Outrigger report. Let's take our break and be right back with our guest. Welcome back and welcome Captain Ken Paramore.
Good morning. How are you?
Always great to have Ken on.
Be back. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know it. Well, listen, let's get right to it. What's going on your end?
Oh, well, as you all know, we've had a lot of rain.
Yeah.
You can find a creek and Deer Point Lake, as you know, has been over the banks, and the highest a lot of people have said in 25, 30, 35 years. We've had some complaints about the boats on Econfina and Bear Creek, and when they're on plane, their wake pushes their wake up in people's yards and people's houses, possibly. So what we'd like to do is ask people, until this water goes down, is to really be cognizant of their wake, in the wake that their boat's pushing. So be courteous to the people who live on those two bodies of water. And I guess you could even include the Choctawhatchee and others, Holmes Creek and those that are up, because boat wakes are going to push up, and you don't want to do any damage, because you are responsible for your wake.
Okay.
And any damage caused by your wake is you could be liable for civilly. So anyway, just a reminder about the high water, and try to do those folks up there a courtesy service by being cognizant of their boat wake.
Okay.
Labor Day weekend is here, and it's probably going to be the last push for scallops, at least as far as, your 3-day weekends are concerned and families are concerned. School's back now. I have heard that they are still finding scallops, and they have gotten a little bigger. The problem, as Blair mentioned earlier, was the water clarity and the visibility due to the fresh water that's in the bays, right now. But it pretty much knocked out the 4th of July weekend, and then we've had rain, as you mentioned, almost every day, it seems like, this summer. So maybe if we get some nice weather, that there'll be an influx of people going to St. Joe Bay to get that last, scallop look and collect and some scallops.
Now, what's the last day of scallop season? Is
24th, I think, of
right,
September. They've extended, as you know, last year to 2 weeks longer than it historically had been.
Right.
So if we do get the influx of people down there, over a pretty long weekend, we, again, boating safety is paramount. Dive flags. We've had several complaints this summer about people disregarding dive flags, and being up on plane and going within 50 to 100 feet of a boat on a plane with people in the water. Obviously we have officers that have worked it every day, but they can't be everywhere at the same time. So be cognizant of the dive flags when they're up. Another problem that we've actually had complaints on is people not lowering their flags when all their boaters or their swimmers get back in the boat, and or the boat is on a plane, leaving. And the flag will be
they
up.
forgot it was up.
They forget it's up. It's not a big deal if it's up when they're running, of course, because they forgot it.
Yeah.
But if their snorkelers come out of the water and get in the boat and it's up, there's no one in the water for the flag. So it's really required that they take it down when all the swimmers are aboard. So just a reminder about safety, boating safety, life jackets, drinking on the water, and operating. Staying within the bag limit of scallops if they find a lot of them. And this is our last 3-day weekend of what we call our boating season up here.
Okay. And all that rain and all up in muddy roads, have any of the officers been stranded or stuck out in these swamps?
No, but the trucks are having to be washed more regular than they were a few months ago. All the guys, when they come in, it's been terrible. Washington County, as most of the viewers know that's up that way, has just been terrible on those roads up there. And Northern Bay County the same way, Holmes County. But it's gradually coming back to normal. So.
Oh, good. Let's take this break real quick and be right back. Welcome back, and happy birthday, John Boyce. Okay, Ken, we have so many seasons all seem like going, you just have to hard to keep up with them. Let's just briefly go over what's in and what's out.
Real quick for the weekend, people who may get to go, triggerfish is open, amberjack is open, grouper, both gag and red, obviously are open. Vermilion is open, and red snapper's closed. So 4 species I mentioned there. Kingfish are still, I guess, if you can find decent water. As you do know, there is some talk that we may have a extended fall red snapper season. If if the quota hasn't been met, and there is, which we don't know yet, a possibility of extending the fall red snapper, which should open, if they have one, will be October 1.
Okay, and when do you think we'll hear for certain, yay or nay on this?
Soon.
Soon,
Hopefully soon.
Right.
And it's proposed or talked about for another up to 21 days.
Okay.
And our commission, the FWC commissioners, are going to discuss next week at our state commission meeting, mirroring that should that come about. So you'll probably see that happen in state waters as well as federal, if we have one in October.
Okay, that'd be some good news. All right, now listen, you sent me some pictures, and I think these pictures are fascinating. Tell us, we're going to get into some of these old
Vintage.
cases, okay? All right, let's take a look at this first picture over here. Now, this is a deer hid in the under the hood.
Yeah, that was early 80s, and we checked some boys coming out of a management area at dark. It was actually after dark, and they got out of the truck and had blood all over them. And they didn't have a deer in the truck, and we couldn't figure out at the time what had happened. They said it was blood from earlier, and and they had all kind of excuses. But we finally decided, after we looked under the truck and in the bed of the truck and in the cab of the truck, to pop the hood, and we popped the hood, and
there it was.
lo and behold, they had stuff to hold doe deer underneath the hood of that old GMC pickup truck.
Now, like I say, you don't see that very often anymore. But
I don't think there's room in a truck anymore to put a deer under a truck.
Okay, now this next one's a turtle eggs case. That's a young Ken Paramore on the left there. Who's your partner?
That was Sergeant Ross Welburn at the time. He's actually an officer in Quincy right now. He's our canine officer, and he's still with us. But that was 1,088 sea turtle eggs that we caught 2 individuals coming off of John D. MacArthur State Park in actually North Palm Beach.
Wow.
About 2 o'clock one morning, and they had a big old sack full of marine turtle eggs. They dug over 10 nests that night.
Oh, my goodness.
And hauled those eggs out of there, so they didn't get away with it.
Wow.
There's another, they filled 2 smaller coolers of
And they obviously had done this before because it looked like they knew what they were doing.
Every summer down there, we had problems with people digging turtle eggs down there.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to a bass case you had. This is a lot of bass right
This was when I was in Fort Myers, and actually it doesn't show all the bass, but I had 2 guys on the lake one day that the bass fishing was really good. And
so they couldn't stop.
They had close to 30 bass, and actually there was only 2 of them, so I think at the time you could only have the 5 fish. So they were several bass over. They were going to have one heck of a fish fry.
Wow. Okay, and let's look at this one here.
That doe deer was a night hunting case that I got involved in when I was down there, and that was probably early 80s.
Yeah.
Our aircraft actually found the vehicle, shine a spotlight, and I slow trailed them and got it behind them and stopped them, and they had that doe deer in the back of their truck.
Wow. So it's amazing. It's amazing what all they try to do. It just.
Oh, I guess I need to write a book like a lot of other people.
Because, because all the stores. I mean, all the stores have the same thread because they're breaking the law, but all of them do it in different ways. So you have
and
different
it's all over.
experiences.
It's been all over the state of Florida, and if you do 25 plus years, and worked in the field at all, you're going to have those kind of cases because they happen, and still do happen, all over.
That's what fascinates me. They still try to get away with doing it.
Right. We had a couple I'll talk about in a minute. They just happened last week. So, there's always something to do out there.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take our final break. We'll come back and talk about some of those cases. Now, welcome back to the final segment on Panhandle Outdoors. Let's first get our report on our fishing game times today, brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. We have some good times today. We're looking at this morning at 6:35 to 8:35, and this evening from 7 to 9. Got a 2-hour block right there, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight. And the weather has been looking good. Ken, this is something we're talking about. Finally, it's going to dry out, hopefully, for a couple of days. So if people can get a chance to get the food plots and all, a lot of them are trying to get to it this weekend and all. But anyway, this Saturday now is license-free saltwater license
Saltwater
free
free
Saturday.
fishing day, June 1. We had one. I mean, September 1. We had one, actually June 1. I think we do a couple a year.
Yeah.
And so anybody who wants to go saltwater fishing will be exempt from a saltwater fishing license on Saturday.
Okay.
So, you know, it's an opportunity to give people who don't regularly fish but want to try it, and or, you know, go with family and see if they like it or not. And we do it a couple times a year in saltwater and a couple times a year on freshwater.
Okay. Let's talk about, you said you had some recent cases of things going on here.
Yeah, we actually had a deer case that was made. Officer Nick Price, the week before last, 12 o'clock at night on Highway 388 here in Bay County, somebody pulls up in front of a guy's house and shot a doe deer from the roadway.
Goodness.
Right in front of the guy's house. The guy come out of his house and he ran the guy down and got his tag number and identified him. So Nick worked the case up and tracked the guy down and conducted an interview, and the guy admitted to shooting the doe, and of course he left it there when the guy came out of his house and confronted him. He took off, but here it is, August, you know, first, second week in August, and somebody's road hunting and shooting doe deer who either are ready to drop fawns or have dropped fawns now. The same guy we caught last February on Highway 22 between Callaway and Weewaw had shot a deer on the side of the highway back in February. So apparently he didn't learn.
He's a repeat offender.
Yes, he is. And he'll get his license suspended in that.
Yeah.
Another case we just had Sunday on in Mariana, and you know, on up there by Blue Springs in the north end of the
up on Chipotle.
Maris Mill Pond. That's the one I'm thinking about. You know, there's a shellcracker size limit, and the shellcracker obviously are bedding right now, so we keep a close eye on that because of the bag limit. Because there's a lot of undersized shellcrackers, but there's not a lot of large shellcrackers still, and it hasn't been what it used to be years ago. But anyway, Officer Mike Guy was checking boat ramp, and boats were coming and going, checking people, and there was a boat coming in, and he looked out and saw the boat coming across the pond. But when they saw him, they kind of turned and veered a different direction, and they kind of went out and hung out in the middle of the pond. So when he got done with the people he was talking to, he left, and he made sure that they saw him drive off. Well, he just went around the corner and parked, and he walked back, and he hid, and
This is a scene one. I guess when you go to school to be an officer, you learn this the cops and robbers scene where you hide and seek and all. So.
Right. So after a few minutes, after he slipped back and was watching, those two in that boat decided that he was gone. So they eased back up there, and instead of going straight to the ramp, they pulled up to a dock prior to the ramp, where he happened to be hiding. And they reached in the boat and they pulled out a stringer and they tied it to the end of that dock, and he was right there on the corner of it. And so he announced himself, if you will, and there was 23 undersized shellcrackers on that stringer.
Goodness gracious.
So it goes to show you, you know, there's something somewhere all the time.
Yeah.
And there's something to do, and these guys were, you know, intent on keeping them. They were anywhere from under 9 inches, 6 inches, a bunch of them, and I forget the size up there now, but it's probably 9 or 10 inches anyway for a legal one. Yeah. And so they just decided to chance it, but what they were going to do is tie that stringer off, then go to the ramp and see if he was really still there or not, and then come back and get their stringer. But
it got busted.
He got lucky, and they were very unlucky. So
very good.
So there's, you know, from killing deer to catching too many fish or freshwater fish.
It's still going on.
Stuff,
it's going on years
going
ago.
On, and the guys are on the water every day. Back in July, we had a case made in Crooked Island Sound where guys were harvesting scallops in the closed area, and our officers caught them and made them put their scallops back and wrote them a ticket. So I want to remind everybody too, while we were talking about scallops earlier, I failed to mention that, you know, Crooked Island Sound is closed.
Yeah.
to harvest.
You know, I usually hear talk of people getting scallops back behind Shell Island, but this summer, I think because of the weather and
This
all
summer, to my knowledge, we didn't catch anybody.
Yeah, I haven't heard much talk. We usually would talk about it, and even there's always a handful of them didn't know any better. But
Right,
and they
either
talk.
there or Beach Drive in the past.
Yeah.
But I think it's because of visibility, and they couldn't see them as well.
Yeah.
And they just didn't. It was too hard to get them, so they didn't try. And maybe the word's got out, you know, when they know that it's closed, and maybe they're behaving.
Yeah, I think it's been a combination of that too. It'd be interesting to see too what the scallop count's going to be next year after all this fresh water this year. See if it has an effect on any of the spawning.
It sure has been. You know, the water looks like coffee, and it sure has been dirty. You can go out 10 miles offshore, and it's still stained, you know, because of the everything's dumping into the bay.
Hopefully we'll get a prolonged spell without any rain, and it'll start clearing up and all. It starts with the creeks and the rivers, and when they start clearing up, the bays and then the Gulf. It's just a domino effect.
You know, it's nothing new as far as time is concerned,
Yeah.
but it's been a number of years since we've had anything like this here. And talking to some people, they've never seen it, and they've been here all their life.
I've talked to a lot of fishermen who really had their tackle boxes all fixed up now because they've had so much time to go through it and
working on their rods and reels and
when switch the lines and the leaders and all that. We've all done that.
Yep.
Okay, what else is going on?
Alligator season, as Blair mentioned, you know, there are some people that are getting them. Lake Seminole, they've harvested a few. I think on the river, they've harvested a few. It's not been really busy, you know, but people are able to fill their tags, and then there'll be another phase, as he mentioned, opening up soon. It's been open now, you know, a couple, 3 weeks, I guess.
Okay.
So there's different phases of it, and the people get drawn. They have to go to certain counties and certain bodies of water, and they get 2 tags.
Okay. And of course, archery season, it'll be starting in October, and then we'll have
we'll get into the hunting next month. I think archery's like October 24, 26, somewhere in there. Dove season usually the first Saturday in October.
Okay.
So.
All right, well, that's good. We're going to have to wrap it up.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Ken.
All right.
Folks, thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. Do something good for somebody today, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.